The rain wouldn't stop that night. It poured like the heavens had opened, washing the streets clean but leaving behind a cold sadness that clung to everything it touched. Under the old bridge on the edge of the city, a young woman named Mira wrapped a thin, torn blanket around her belly. She was 8 months pregnant and had nowhere to go. The city lights glittered in the distance, but they felt like stars, beautiful, unreachable, and cold. Her stomach growled. She hadn't eaten since morning. She rubbed it gently and whispered, "Hold on, little one. Just a little longer." Her voice trembled with both love and exhaustion. Suddenly, she froze. Somewhere beyond the sound of rain and thunder, a faint noise reached her ears. It wasn't the usual sound of the wind or cars splashing through puddles. It was something softer, weaker, a cry. Mira lifted her head, her heart pounding. She listened again. There it was. A child's cry. High, shaky, and full of fear. Without thinking, she grabbed her blanket tighter and stepped out into the storm. The muddy water soaked her shoes instantly, but she didn't care. She followed the sound, her breath quickening with every step. "Hello," she called out. "Is someone there?" The crying grew louder, echoing beneath the bridge's dark tunnel. She moved closer, her heart beating like a drum. The streetlight flickered behind her, casting long, ghostly shadows on the wet concrete. And then she saw him. A little boy, maybe 6 or 7 years old, curled up beside a pile of broken boxes. His clothes were soaked, his small body shivering. He hugged his knees to his chest and looked up with wide, scared eyes. Myra's heart broke in an instant. "Oh no, sweetheart," she whispered, kneeling beside him. "What are you doing out here all alone?" The boy didn't answer. He just looked at her, confused and afraid. "It's okay," Mira said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you. Come here, you'll catch your death in this cold." The boy hesitated, then slowly reached out. She took his hand, it was ice cold, and pulled him close. She wrapped her thin blanket around them both. "What's your name?" she asked. He shook his head. I don't remember," he whispered. His voice was weak, trembling like a leaf in the wind. Mira frowned. "You don't remember?" He looked down and said nothing. Myra's instincts told her something was very wrong. But she couldn't ask too much. The boy was freezing, hungry, and terrified. Just like she had been when life pushed her out onto the streets. "Come on," she said, helping him stand. "There's a spot under the bridge that's dry. We can stay there until morning." They walked back slowly. Myra's feet slipped on the wet ground, and her swollen belly made it hard to move quickly, but she didn't stop. She couldn't. Not when a helpless child needed her. When they reached her little corner under the bridge, she sat him down on an old piece of cardboard and pulled another warm blanket from her bag. She gave it to him and smiled faintly. "Here, this will help," she said. "We'll find something to eat in the morning." The boy nodded silently, his eyes heavy with exhaustion. He kept glancing around, like he was afraid someone might come and take him away. As he finally drifted to sleep, Mira sat beside him, staring out at the rain. She didn't know who he was, but she felt something strange deep inside, like she was meant to find him. There was a quiet warmth in her heart, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Still, a part of her couldn't shake the unease. Why was a boy his age alone in the storm at night? Where were his parents? And then she noticed something small but important. Tied around his wrist was a shiny bracelet. Gold. The kind no street child would ever wear. It had a tiny engraving on it, a name. But when she leaned closer to read it, the light flickered again, and the letters blurred in the dark. She could only make out the first part, Eli. Her heart jumped. Whoever he was, he wasn't an ordinary boy. Suddenly, she heard a car engine nearby. Loud, powerful, expensive. Headlights cut through the rain, sweeping across the bridge. Mira gasped and pulled the boy close, hiding behind one of the bridge's pillars. Two men stepped out of the car, wearing dark coats. Their flashlights scanned the ground as they shouted over the rain. "Check this side." The boss wants the boy found before sunrise. Mira's stomach turned. The boy stirred in his sleep, mumbling softly, "Don't let them take me." Her breath caught. Who were these men? Why were they looking for him? Mira's mind raced. She didn't know what was going on, but her gut told her one thing: these weren't good people. She held the boy tighter, praying they wouldn't be seen. The men's footsteps echoed closer, beams of light flashing across the wet concrete. One of the lights passed just inches from Mara's face, but she pressed herself deeper into the shadows. After what felt like forever, the men cursed under their breath and turned back toward the car. "Search the east side next," one of them said. "He can't have gone far." The car roared to life and drove away. Mira let out the breath she had been holding. Her hands trembled. She looked down at the sleeping boy, his face peaceful now, unaware of the danger around him. "Who are you, little one?" she whispered. The rain softened. The city grew quiet again. But deep inside, Mira knew her life had just changed. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was protecting something precious, someone who didn't belong to the world of the streets. Someone important. And though she didn't yet understand how, she felt it deep within her heart, finding that boy under the bridge wasn't an accident. It was destiny beginning to unfold. As lightning flashed across the sky, Mira whispered a promise to her unborn baby and the lost boy sleeping beside her. "No one will hurt you. Not while I'm alive." And in that moment, under the bridge where broken souls often passed unseen, a story began, one of courage, mystery, and love strong enough to change fate itself. Morning came slowly, with the soft glow of sunlight pushing through the mist. The rain had stopped, but the ground was still wet, shining like glass. Under the old bridge, Mira opened her eyes to the sound of birds calling faintly from the nearby trees. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she turned and saw the little boy, curled up beside her, still fast asleep. He looked so peaceful now, nothing like the frightened, trembling child she had found in the storm. His small chest rose and fell gently. There was something about his face, something calm and strange, like he had known both pain and safety at the same time. Mira smiled faintly. "You're safe now," she whispered. She pushed herself up carefully, her back aching. The baby inside her kicked, reminding her that time was running out. She needed food, rest, and help before her baby arrived. But the thought of leaving the boy alone made her heart twist. When he finally woke up, the boy blinked sleepily and rubbed his eyes. "Good morning," Mira said softly. "How are you feeling?" He looked around, confused for a moment, then whispered, "Where am I?" "You're safe," she said gently. "We're under a bridge, but don't worry. You're not alone anymore." The boy frowned slightly. "I had a dream," he murmured. "I saw a big house with lights everywhere, and a man shouting my name." Mira leaned closer. "What name did he call you?" The boy hesitated, thinking hard. "I don't know," he said finally. "It's gone again. I can't remember." Mira sighed. "It's okay," she said. "Maybe it'll come back later." He nodded slowly, staring at the bracelet still tied around his wrist. The golden band shimmered faintly in the sunlight. Mira reached for it again, trying to see the engraving clearly. Elias. That was the name. The moment she read it, something inside her stirred, like the sound of a door unlocking in her mind. "That's your name," she said softly. "Elias." The boy blinked. "Elias." "Yes," she said, smiling gently. "It's beautiful." He whispered it to himself, as if tasting it for the first time. Elias. But just as he said it, a sudden flash of fear crossed his face. He gasped, grabbing his head. No. The man in my dream, he said that name too. Mira reached for him quickly. It's okay, she said. You're safe here. Nobody's going to hurt you. Elias breathed fast, his small body shaking. She pulled him into her arms, and slowly, his heartbeat began to calm. Mira rocked him gently, whispering soothing words. You're safe, my boy. You're safe. For a long time, they just sat there in silence, listening to the water drip from the bridge. Mira looked at him and saw more than just a child. She saw someone broken and lost, like herself. She didn't know where he came from, but she could feel it in her bones. His story was not an ordinary one. By noon, the city above them was awake. Cars rushed by. People hurried to work. None of them knew that beneath their feet, two lives, one woman with nothing and one boy with everything, were slowly becoming bound together by fate. Mira decided they couldn't stay there forever. Come on, she said. We'll find something to eat. They walked together through the quiet back streets, avoiding busy places. Mira led him to a small corner behind the bakery, where the smell of warm bread floated through the air. She waited until the baker stepped away, then gently reached into the trash bin and pulled out a half loaf of bread that was still fresh. Elias looked at her with wide eyes. You're stealing. Mira smiled sadly. Sometimes life doesn't give you choices, she said. But I'll make sure you eat. She tore the bread in half and handed him a piece. He hesitated before taking a small bite. The moment he tasted it, his eyes softened, and a smile broke across his face. It's good, he said quietly. Mira laughed softly. I'm glad. For a moment, it felt almost normal, like a mother and son sharing a meal on a peaceful afternoon. But deep down, Mira knew this peace wouldn't last. She kept noticing strange things, cars driving slowly down the street, men in suits talking on their phones, their eyes scanning corners as if searching for someone. At one point, a black car stopped across the road. A tall man stepped out, holding a photo in his hand. Mira's heart froze. She couldn't see the picture clearly, but she didn't need to. She grabbed Elias's hand. Come on, she whispered. We need to move. They ducked into an alley and hurried away. Mira's pulse thundered in her ears. The man turned slightly, glancing in their direction, but they were already gone. When they stopped to rest, Elias looked up at her. Why are they looking for me? He asked quietly. Mira knelt in front of him. I don't know yet, she said. But whoever they are, I don't think they want to help you. His eyes shimmered with tears. Will they find us? Mira hesitated, then placed her hand on his cheek. Not if I can help it, she said. You saved me from loneliness, Elias. Now I'll save you from whatever is chasing you. The boy didn't understand everything, but he nodded and hugged her tightly. In that moment, she felt something deep and unspoken, a bond forming between them, something that reached far beyond words. As night began to fall again, they found an empty warehouse by the river and made it their new shelter. Mira laid down some cardboard and covered Elias with her only blanket. She sat beside him, her eyes heavy but her heart alert. Elias looked up at her. Mira. Yes, love. Do you think my family misses me? Mira paused. I'm sure they do, she said softly. And maybe one day, we'll find them. Elias yawned. I don't want to go yet, he said sleepily. I like being with you. Mira smiled, brushing his hair gently. And I like having you here, little one. As he drifted to sleep, she stared out at the dark river. Her thoughts were a storm of fear and hope. Whoever that boy truly was, his presence had already changed everything. And somewhere, Deep inside her, she felt something awaken, a courage she didn't know she had. Because this time, she wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting for him. And in the distance, under the silver light of the moon, a new danger was already moving closer, searching, watching, waiting for the moment to strike. The next few days passed quietly, but Mira could feel the world closing in. Every morning, new faces appeared on street corners, men in dark suits showing pictures, asking questions. They always came too close. Too curious. Too calm. Mira kept Elias close, moving from one shelter to another, never sleeping in the same place twice. Her body ached from carrying her unborn baby, but her fear for the boy burned stronger than her pain. One morning, she woke up to the sound of church bells in the distance. Elias was already awake, sitting by the riverbank, throwing tiny stones into the water. His reflection rippled softly, his golden bracelet catching the sunlight. He turned when he heard her footsteps. "Mira," he said softly, "I dreamed again." "What did you see this time?" she asked, settling beside him. He hesitated. A big house with tall white walls. A man with gray hair and sad eyes. He kept calling me Eli. He looked scared. Like he was losing something. Myra's heart tightened. "Did you remember anything else?" The boy frowned and shook his head. I think I used to be happy. But something bad happened." Before Mira could answer, a loud honk echoed from the road above. She looked up and froze. 2 black cars. Again. She stood up quickly and grabbed Elias's hand. "We have to go." They ran through the narrow back streets, Myra's heart pounding harder with every step. But this time, the cars didn't drive away. Doors opened. Footsteps followed. Voices shouted. "Over there. That's them." Elias stumbled, and Mira caught him. She could feel her legs trembling, her breath short. The baby inside her kicked hard. "Please, Mira," Elias cried, "I'm scared." She pulled him behind a dumpster, crouching low. "Shoo, it's okay," she whispered, even though her voice shook. "We'll find a way." But before she could plan their next move, she heard something new, sirens. Loud ones. Police. The men in suits stopped, suddenly alert. One of them cursed. "We can't let the media see us here," he hissed. Back to the cars. Mira watched them leave, confused and trembling. The sirens drew closer, and soon a police car stopped nearby. 2 officers stepped out, shining flashlights. "Hey," one of them called. "You there? Are you okay?" Mira hesitated. She didn't trust easily. But something told her this time was different. I found him," she said shakily, holding Elias's hand tighter. "He was lost. Please don't take him somewhere bad." The younger officer frowned. "You found this boy?" "Yes," Mira said softly. "He doesn't remember who he is." The older officer's eyes widened. "Wait," he whispered, pulling out his phone. He tapped something quickly, then turned the screen toward her. It was a missing child report. A boy named Elias Whitmore. The son of billionaire businessman Richard Whitmore, missing for nearly a week after a mysterious car crash. Myra's heart stopped. She looked down at Elias, whose face had gone pale. "That's me," he whispered. "That's my house, that man in the picture, he's my dad." Tears filled his eyes, and he clutched Myra's hand even tighter. "But I don't want to leave you." Myra's throat tightened. She forced a smile. "Elias, your father's been looking everywhere for you. You have to go home, sweetheart. You'll be safe there." The officer knelt beside them. "Mom, you saved his life. His family's been desperate. You did something incredible." Mira felt her strength fading. She smiled weakly at Elias, brushing his hair from his face. "I'm proud of you, my brave boy. Can you come with me?" he whispered. Before she could answer, her body turned suddenly. A sharp pain shot through her stomach. She gasped, grabbing her belly. "Mira!" Elias cried out, terrified. The officer caught her as she fell to her knees. "She's in labor," he shouted. "Call for backup now." The world became a blur of noise and flashing lights. Mira clung to Elias's small hand as the pain came in waves. Her heart pounded with both fear and peace. "It's okay," she whispered through tears. "Everything's going to be okay." Elias was crying now. "Don't leave me, Mira. Please." She smiled faintly, even as her body shook. "I'm not leaving you, Eli. I'll always be with you." Then everything went dark. When Mira opened her eyes again, she was lying in a hospital bed. The room was bright, clean, and quiet. For a moment, she didn't know where she was, then she heard a familiar laugh. "Mira!" Elias ran into the room, his face glowing with joy. Behind him stood a man, tall, gray-haired, and dressed in a dark suit. His eyes were red, but kind. "I'm Richard Whitmore," the man said gently. "Elias's father. I can never thank you enough for saving my son." Mira tried to sit up, but Richard shook his head. "Rest. You've been through so much." Elias climbed onto the bed, hugging her tightly. "I told them about you," he said proudly. "I told them you're my hero." Tears filled her eyes. "I'm just glad you're safe," she whispered. Richard smiled softly. "You saved my only child. I'd like to return the favor. You don't have to live on the streets anymore, Mira. We'll take care of you and your baby." Mira blinked in disbelief. "You mean I can stay?" "Yes," he said. "As family." Her heart swelled with warmth she hadn't felt in years. For the first time, she didn't feel lost or invisible. She felt seen. Elias beamed beside her. "Did you hear that, Mira? We are going to be a family." She laughed through her tears. "Yes, my brave boy. We already are." Outside the window, sunlight filled the sky, breaking through the last traces of storm clouds. The same rain that once brought fear had now washed new life into both their worlds. Mira looked at her newborn baby sleeping beside her and then at Elias, who sat holding her hand. Two souls she had never planned to meet, yet both had saved her in their own way. And as the wind whispered softly through the open window, Mira knew deep inside that the bridge where it all began wasn't just a place of sorrow anymore. It was where destiny had found her. Where love had rewritten her story. Where a homeless woman became a hero, and a lost boy found his home again.